Governor Andrew Cuomo has decided to end an investigation into how the district attorney in New York handled a case of sexual assault that was alleged against Harvey Weinstein. Now, when the whole Harvey Weinstein story broke, there was a recording made by an Italian model where it appeared that Harvey Weinstein admitted to sexually assaulting her. That evidence was then presented to District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. in New York, and he decided not to press any charges or prosecute Harvey. Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
Okay. So that became a bit of a scandal. And then you look into some of the funding that this district attorney's office had received, and they had received $10,000 in donations from the law firm representing Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
So at that point, Governor Andrew Cuomo comes in and says, this is unacceptable. We need to launch an investigation into the DA's office to see what the hell is going on.
We got to figure out what the hell is going on, okay?
He has since reversed that decision.
So there are layers of politics and corruption in this story. So I believe that that Cuomo's decision was political in a couple of different ways, but the most important part of this story is the underlying fundamental part is the corruption of our entire system, right? But the most important political part is what this is going to do to Cuomo, because it looks real bad. If Cynthia Nixon pressed on this open wound, there's some chance that, look, sometimes one issue wins you a whole election. That people get so mad about this that it could cost him. And why did Cuomo do it? Because he can't help himself. So let's give you details and I will explain the different layers.
Okay, so just to repeat myself and make sure that we're clear, the DA's office, Cyrus Vance Jr., the district attorney, had received $10,000 in donations from the law firm representing Harvey Weinstein. There was never any prosecution, okay?
Yeah, and to be clear, he got it a couple months after he declined to prosecute. So I don't know what's worse or better, if you get it ahead of time or afterwards, and if it includes a wink or a nod.
So Andrew Cuomo says we need to investigate this and figure out why the DA decided not to prosecute Harvey Weinstein. But news developed indicating that no, the governor has decided to completely suspend this investigation, and people were wondering why. Now, David Sirota dug into this story and has a possible reason why. And he writes in capitalmain.com, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has halted an investigation into the handling of the Weinstein case, just as Boies' law firm gave Cuomo's campaign $25,000.
So Boies is Weinstein's lawyer, or was Weinstein's lawyer until very recently. So he's going around handing out checks to all the people who might prosecute Weinstein. What a nice coincidence for Weinstein. And it turns out they all decide that they are going to drop investigations left and right. This is the third time we're clarifying. Cuomo did not drop an investigation of Weinstein. He dropped an investigation of the prosecutor who would not prosecute Weinstein.
Exactly.
So, but charges and investigations are being dropped left and right as checks are being dropped left and right.
So, and to be extra clear, the investigations into Harvey Weinstein continue. So this is not about Harvey Weinstein anymore. This is about investigating the district attorney and the decision that was made to not initially investigate Harvey Weinstein or prosecute him after these allegations had come forward. Cuomo in March called for the New York Attorney General's office to investigate the handling of the case, which revolved around accusations that Weinstein groped an Italian model. So at the time, Cuomo said, quote, "It is critical not only that these cases are given the utmost attention, but also that there is public confidence in the handling of these cases. Unless, of course, I get $25,000 in my re-election campaign, then all of a sudden the public's trust isn't as important." I added that last part, obviously.
All right, let me go to graphic 5 here, because this is in a lot of ways the most important part of the story, because it gives you the overall picture. In all, Boies and his law firm have given Cuomo's gubernatorial campaigns more than $245,000 since 2009. So let me give you Cuomo's excuse, and then I'll break down what I think actually happened. Cuomo says, "Oh no, it's since they're prosecuting now. I didn't want to investigate the prosecutor, because then the defense attorney could use some of the evidence we uncovered maybe to help Weinstein." Now you can say, hey, you know what? Maybe that's a legitimate point as to why they might want to suspend the investigation. But you knew that before. So why now decide to drop the investigation of the prosecutor? Okay, so let's now rewind and tell you what I think are the real motivations here. So Cyrus Vance does not prosecute, he gets a $10,000 check against Weinstein.
That's all it took.
Yeah, and until it blows up, and then, so he's embarrassed because he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and then decides to prosecute, otherwise his career is ruined, okay? Because Weinstein's such an obvious monster, and now everyone knows it. Before, Cyrus Vance knew it because he had all the evidence. He just chose not to pursue it. So look at what's wrong with the system. We allow campaign contributions to prosecutors?
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder if that's a system that's gonna lead to corruption. Of course the rich will give money to prosecutors not to get prosecuted. I mean, let's just acknowledge how insane that is.
It's been acknowledged.
Yeah, wolf-pack.com. If you're not fighting to get money out of politics, well, with these oligarchs gonna rule us? I mean, the system is defined by corruption. You don't want to talk about rigged. It's rigged on behalf of the rich by definition. Okay, of course you shouldn't be allowed to give money to a prosecutor. That's insanity, even if it's for his campaign. So now go to Cuomo. Cuomo decides that he's going to investigate Cyrus Vance Jr. Is that because Cuomo is so deeply ethical and he was moved by the fact that Vance wouldn't prosecute? No, they're politicians in the same state and the same party. So, hey, this is a good way to dig my opponent and make sure he doesn't get up, okay? If you're not aware of New York politics history, and there's no reason you should be, let me just fill you in real quick. Cuomo had started another investigation earlier on an unrelated topic, and when the investigation about ethics turned to him, and it turned out he had done some seriously unethical things, he immediately ended the investigation, said, oh, we're done here. Wait, but they didn't give a report and they were investigating you. It's a Trump-like move. He's like, no, we're done with that. And now we're going crazy over Trump as we should, considering firing Mueller. In essence, Cuomo fired his own Mueller, okay? And so now he's like, oh, well, look at, I have found ethical problems. I will now investigate this other guy who might one day be a challenger to me, okay? Now, Boies comes in and goes, hey, remember all that money I gave you? What do you think I gave it for? And plus I have another $25,000 check for you, okay? So the governor can decide whether they're gonna do investigations of the prosecutors, the district attorney, and so many other monumentally important decisions. And we allow people to bribe them. Well, Boies can say, and Boies, look, he's a lawyer, he represents his clients. I get it, and he's a progressive and he's a good guy, and maybe he likes Cuomo, maybe he gave it because he just loves Cuomo. I don't care. What I care about is a system that says, here's $250,000, and then maybe you do what I tell you to do, maybe you don't. Well, golly gee, I guess we'll never know.
So, okay, so the vast majority of that money was previously given to Cuomo by the law firm where Boies is a partner, right? The additional $25,000 was the new money that was given to Cuomo after he had launched this investigation against the prosecutors. So then he ends up suspending this investigation. And so, yes, look, we can't definitively say that that $25,000 was the factor that led to his decision, right? I speculate that it was. I have reason to believe that it was. And if it's proven that that was the reason why he did it, this could cost him his political career, right? I mean, if Cynthia Nixon plays this the way that we hope she plays it, right? Think about it. He launched this investigation, gets that's all it took, $25,000 to investigate prosecutors, to end the investigation of prosecutors. Like, that's all it took. $25,000 is not a lot of money.
Yeah, no, politicians can be bought pretty cheap. It's actually a great investment. So why is this in Capital Main? David Boies doing a fantastic job. Why isn't it a headline in New York Times? He's the New York governor. Don't you think it's a little bit relevant? Well, it's because the mainstream media is actually 100% used to corruption. And they view it to be standard course. Like, well, of course, I mean, of course you give $250,000 to Cuomo and he does exactly what you tell him to, but that's a coincidence, guys. That's a coincidence. So now look, the 245 makes a difference even before you get to the 25 because There's a history of corruption here. We give you money, you do what we tell you. Now they had this comical statement that they put out. A spokesperson for the law firm said neither Mr. Boies nor anyone from his firm ever discussed Harvey Weinstein or Mr. Vance with Mr. Cuomo or anyone from his office at any time. Of course, you think Boies, who's one of the best lawyers in the country, is gonna be enough of a schmuck to say, now remember, Andrew, this is $25,000 check to buy you. Make sure you drop the investigation. You think Cuomo doesn't know he's Weinstein's lawyer? Okay, so and again, whether you think this particular check is connected to this particular decision is not nearly as important as how deeply, deeply corrupt the system is, where you can just buy politicians, buy prosecutors, and then we have no idea why you did it and why he took the actions that he did. Do you guys trust that Cuomo did it for purely ethical, real, ideological, principled reasons? Well, how could you possibly trust that? Even if Cuomo's a great guy, how could you trust that? He got because he gets systematically bribed. By the way, yes, like all other politicians do. But the New York Times and everyone else is like, oh, well, hey, another coincidence. Okay, no big deal, let's just move on here. But look, I agree with Anna. People are sick of it. They're absolutely sick of it. And Weinstein is a poster child for the rich and the powerful getting away with things that they should have no business getting away with, and that you wouldn't get anywhere near getting away with, and nor should you. But he might, and you know it, and he did for all those years. Now, New York Times before also covered for Weinstein when they mainly sold ads, and that's how they got their revenue. And Weinstein's companies were huge advertisers with the New York Times. Now they mainly work on a subscription model. All of a sudden, they run the Weinstein story. Now, but Cuomo, look, there is a little bit of truth to what the right wing says about the media. It's not that they're liberal, it's not anywhere close to that, right? But do they know the Democratic politicians and give them more of a break? It's that not progressives, but establishment Democrats? A little bit, yeah. Because if Trump had done this, they'd be all over him. Cuomo does it, just keeps on taking bribe after bribe after bribe. I grant you it's legal, but it's brazen in Cuomo's case. He'll take money from the real estate industry and then turn around and give giant tax breaks to the real estate industry in New York. Oh, I am helping to stimulate the economy. I've seen this game before.
It's happening in LA as well.
Yeah, and I see it with the Republicans, I see it with Democrats. The only people who can't see it, apparently, are the rest of the media who've been trained to accept corruption as the status quo and not to challenge it. So not only do I challenge Cuomo on this, but I challenge the New York Times. You missed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and now you're sitting on your hands as you have a deeply corrupt governor. What are you doing? I thought you were the great, mighty New York Times. You might want to get to it.
Did you know the TYT network is now available on YouTube's new streaming platform, YouTube TV? Get access to full TYT episodes and exclusive shows by signing up for YouTube TV today. All new subscribers get a 7-day free trial, so head over to youtube.tv and search for TYT Network's channel.